The 60s origin of Cyclops. After causing a disturbance in the capital, the young man who will be known as Cyclops has entered a dimly lit shack, fleeing from an angry mob and the police. Here he meets Jack Winters, a mutant with the ability to mentally sense the thought waves of others, and to teleport others and himself short distances. They reappear inside a nuclear power plant, where Jack quickly wrangles in Scott on his plans and gives him his backstory. A few months back, Jack was working in this very plant to settle his gambling debt. To pay them off, he decides to steal some of the radioactive material, but disaster strikes and the classic explosion in the science lab occurs. Not only did this seem to grant him his mental powers, but the explosion caused his hands to turn into diamonds, giving himself the codename Jack of Diamonds. He now plans to recreate this accident in order to turn his entire body into diamonds and become invulnerable. With this odd combination of powers, Professor X tracks them down with the use of his prototype machine Cyberno. A mental standoff occurs between Professor X and Jack, with Cyclops stating he won't turn into a cold-blooded killer. Jack and Scott get away and plan to use Scott to break into the Cyclotron Center, even though he could just teleport into it like he did previously. Turns out he didn't need Scott at all, and breaks down the door himself and transforms his entire body into diamonds and becomes the living diamond. After a brief scuffle, Professor X and Scott discover a vibration inducer machine. The professor orders Scott to operate it, and when the living diamond appears, Scott uses this machine to transform the living diamond into atoms, and he is gone. While Scott is terrified that he just committed murder, the professor tells him not to worry about it. They head back to the mansion where Scott is transformed and named Cyclops. He will become the nucleus of the first class of X-Men. This is a really messy origin story full of some odd decisions in terms of our forgettable villain, some heavy manipulation actions from Professor X, which is pretty standard, and Cyclops is kind of forgettable in his own story, honestly. It's a 3 out of 10. But bonus feature, call him Cyclops. As an overview of Cyclops and his powers, we learn that the source of his powers is the sun itself. Even when he sleeps or at nighttime, the moon reflects a small amount of those sun rays, charging up his powers constantly. Overexertion can cause him fatigue, and as a reminder, his powers produce force, not heat, allowing him to save this bus full of children and cause no harm. Not to say it can't be used in battle, like taking out a charging bull, for example. The ruby quartz visor he wears is the only thing that can contain his optic blast. The visor can be opened at many different degrees, from wide sweeping beams to the most precise of lasers. While it mostly appears to be activated by the button on the side of his visor, it's finally revealed that each glove has a button in the palm as well. Cyclops so far has been a favorite of mine in this series, excited to see where else it will lead.